All right, welcome back to Pursuit Fishing. I'm gonna walk through the rods I actually fish with today because I think it's fun to see other people's stuff.
I'm closing chapters, looking backwards, and I'm making sense.
Okay, I got all the rods I actually fish with behind me. We're gonna kind of go in order of length and power, so to say. So let me qualify this for a second. What I mean is, what kind of angler am I? I'm a recreational angler, right? I bass fish almost exclusively, and I fish for fun, right? I like going out some days catching a lot of fish, big fish, tinkering with my rods and my reels and my baits, right? So I'm a recreational fisherman. I don't do tournaments. I just go out, I make videos, I catch fish. So every rod here, I've paid for. I have no sponsorships, nothing. These were all my purchases, and I've settled on these mostly for what I use. I've had some Lews stuff, some Abu Garcia, right, some other things, and I just didn't like certain aspects of those rods. Now, what do I look for in my rods, right? And what I mean there is I don't buy, the $300 and $400 high-end rods or reels. $200 is about my max. I feel like I can get a fantastic bang for my buck within that price range, but I love bang for my buck in any price range, right? So some of the reasons I've settled on some of these is I actually like a couple of these $50 rods better than my Abu Garcia Vendetta rods that I had. So I've parted ways with those. All right, let's get into this. So over here we got two Shimano Celis in the 610 medium. So these are these are amazing bang for the buck rods. They're fast. Now I will say they're not a crankbait moderate, but they're kind of a moderate flex. And I felt that a lot. I fished a lot of jerkbaits on these this summer for smallmouth, and I felt that when you really rip the jerkbait, to me the rod loads a little too much. So I use them because they're cheap, they're pretty sensitive for the price, and they're short. I do a fair amount of bank fishing, and I don't like bank fishing with rods over 7 feet. I just don't. Oregon, a lot of our ponds have trees and blackberries all around. Trying to cast a 7.3, I'm always hitting the tips and the trees and the branches behind me. So these are kind of a do everything. I throw weightless Senkos, I'll throw rattle traps, I'll throw jerkbaits. I flip a Ned rig on a 10th ounce head and, with these on 10-pound test, and I use my SLX MGL because it's got that lighter spool. So I need versatility in my rods when I go bank fishing. I don't want to carry 4 or 5. I want to carry 2. Okay, now we jump to some technique-specific rods. So we had the two Shimanos, both 610 mediums. I have two Mojo Bass 6.8 medium. These are jerkbait rods, right? So technique-specific. These are brilliant. They're a little more expensive. I think they're like $130, $140, but they are so much faster in that action. Look at the tip. I'm to the backbone so fast. And that fast tip, it's pretty crisp. So when you work a jerkbait, the rod doesn't load up, which allows you to rip the bait. And then when you do it with a moderate rod and the rod loads up, the bait darts and then the rod unloads and it pulls the bait a little further. So with these, you don't get that. Bam, stop. I also the reason I got two is I found that for me, this is a great rod for walking topwater baits. When I go to the Umpqua, I throw a lot of jerkbaits and I throw a lot of walking topwater. So, I bring 1 or 2 of these or one of those Shimanos, but I don't really do anything else with this rod. To me, it's too technique specific. I'll throw a rattle trap on it occasionally if I have to, but I don't love that. So really, jerkbait, topwater, that's kind of all I do with these. All right, up next, I'm doing 2 different rods in the same class, same specs. These are both 7-foot mediums, Shimano Celis and the Diawa Aired X. I just added these to the arsenal because I liked my 610 Celises so much, and I had a 7.3 medium heavy in this Diawa that I loved, but I broke because like I said, I don't like long rods bank casting, and I hooked the tip in a tree and broke the tip. My fault, rod was fine. So, but that's the thing, right? These bang for the buck rods, if I break one at $50, okay, whatever. You know, if I go out there with a $200, $300 rod and break it, I'm gonna be real bummed. So I went with the mediums because the lure rating is 1/4 to 3/4, so I can pretty much throw everything. I can throw a weightless stick bait, right? I can throw a jig, a Texas rig, rattle trap, jerkbait, topwater. Like, they're not perfect for any of it, but I can do so much with them. And if I go bank fishing and I want to just take 2 rods, pretty good. And I will say, although these are a fast action, again, right, with those lower price rods, they're not as crisp as the higher end fast action. So they're probably more like a moderate fast, especially the Diawa. The Diawa is pretty, it's softer than I would have expected even for a medium. All right, and next up is another Diawa Airdex. This is a 7-foot heavy. The lure rating is 3/8 to 1.5 ounces. So I use this for frogging. It's a heavy and it's short, and it's not as beefy as a lot of people like for a frog, but it's still got power. And if I'm out walking a frog all day, I can't do it with a big meat stick of a rod. So for me, you know, it's good at the heavy rating with the amount of power it has. And honestly, if I hook a fish in some nasty stuff and I absolutely can't wrench it out, okay, maybe I go get it. Also, at that 7 foot with that broad rating, again, versatility, right? If you notice, I have 11 rods up here, right? Like, I don't have 28 rods. So again, versatility matters to me. And then next we have 2 both Dobbins Fury 7.3 medium heavy. I wish I would have got one of these in a 7 foot, but whatever. These are great rods. Great rods. Light, the action's right, they're fast action, but they load deeper into the rod. I use them like, I throw swim jigs all the time, and swim jigs and finesse jigs. These are great for my swim jigs. If I'm skipping them though, if I'm doing a lot of skipping, I would prefer to be at a 7 foot. But Dobyns Fury rods, oh man, these are worth the money. I was on the Abu Garcia stuff before these, and the Lews, right? The way those rods loaded, I felt like they were either fully loaded, right? Or they were just straight. There was like no in between to fight a fish. And so whenever I'd hook a big fish and I caught my PB, that 7.5 on the Lews rod, I was just like concerned the whole time because I was loaded or it was like straight. I couldn't fight that fish and let the rod kind of unload a little bit. It was just really uncomfortable. So, like I said, parted ways with those rods. I do have some complaints with the Dobyns Fury. I'm going to cover that in a review video. All right. Now this is my meat stick of a rod. It's my Mojo Bass pitching light flipping rod. This is a 7.6 medium heavy, moderate fast. What is the lure rating? 3/8 to 1.25 ounces. I can tell you just straight, I throw heavier baits. Although this rod's technique specific, I do a few different things that it's not designed for, and it works great. But the moderate load in this, the moderate fast, I should say. I mean, for a meat stick of a rod, like, I can bend the backbone a little bit. So I love it for flipping into that cover and really, like I said, loading up and not feeling like my rod, the moment anything goes wrong, just goes straight. It's sensitive, but it's beefy and it's cumbersome in your hand. I'm not gonna lie. But I also throw like medium-sized swim baits, like the S-Waver on it. If I go swim bait fishing, I'll use my swim bait rod for something huge, and I'll use this for, like a mag draft with the single hook weedless, or the S-Waver, something like that. So still some versatility in this one. And then last, another Dobyns Fury, the 7.9 medium fast swim bait rod. This rod loads, although it's fast, it loads deep. Like I keep saying, that's what I look for in my rods. And I don't mean like crankbait deep, right? Not that kind of floppy, but it still loads deep into the rod. It loads nice. So solid rod, lure weight, 1 to 5 ounces. So far I've only got one swimbait fish, and it was on the S waiver. And you know, I've been trying, but only one so far. Maybe we'll get some more this year. Yeah, so that's just a quick walkthrough of the, you know, of my rods and what I've kind of settled on. I'm striving for a balance of bang for your buck, right? It's fun. I love finding that $50 rod that works great, and I've tried a lot of them. I even tried like some of the Cabela's brands and Bass Pro Shop brands. Don't go there. I tried a few different ones. That's not the bang for the buck I'm looking for. Yeah, so if I was gonna go a little higher end, like outside of that $140, $150 mark, which again, I don't like to do, I feel like you can get good enough stuff. If you want every advantage in your corner, by all means, right, do it. I don't want to spend $400. But if I was gonna go up a little bit, I'd be looking at a Mega Bass Levante, which I am. I just can't bring myself to pull the trigger, or Shimano Zodius. Those are 2 higher end ones that I would like to try at some point. So I hope you enjoyed seeing the gear. The next video is going to be the same thing, but I'm going to take you through my reels. And yeah, I love seeing people's stuff. So I hope you enjoyed seeing mine. If you like the videos, go subscribe. Thank you. Have a good day.